Looks like we have a 13 Chevy Sonic here. Miles are gonna be... regular pump test. It's got the custom rearview mirror here.
Oh yeah, it's a beauty.
No extra charge for that. We got 178,000 miles on it. We got a check engine light on. It's give us another opportunity to use our handy dandy OBD2 plug here. Let's see if my infinite wisdom I can find the plug in. Yep. All right, so we're gonna fire this thing up. We're talking about scanners. Talked about it before. I just happened to grab a buddy's inside because I've momentarily lost mine. So it's gonna run through the OBD2 real quick, and we're gonna give it a ring, see what we got here. All right, that means it's not ready to pass inspection. According to our scanner here, it's got not one, not two, but 10 codes. Right?
Beautiful.
I'm sure it's a diamond in the rough. So I'm gonna go through these codes real quick. This is a great example of kind of the stuff that comes in and what you should do, right? So we've got a catalytic converter code here, another catalytic converter code, another catalytic converter code, another catalytic converter code. Engine coolant temperature could be something like a thermostat. We got an EVAP code, which deals with EVAP. Basically, it can be gas cap. It can be an EVAP valve. It has to deal with the gases coming from the fuel tank. Another catalytic converter code. What's that make, like 4 or 5 now?
At least.
We got a knock sensor code, so if you want to have any knock dog jokes, just kidding. The knock sensor code is going to sense when the engine is not operating at its full potential, so it's got some spark knock to it. Could be something wrong with the motor, or it could be just crappy gas. Another knock sensor code, and last but not least, we've got another catalyst code, right? So we're gonna give this thing a look over here. We'll pop the hood in just a second and go from there. But so far we have 10 codes, which means this car is not gonna pass inspection in North Carolina, which means we'd have to spend some time working on it. So we have to decide what this vehicle's worth based on what kind we're gonna have to end up doing to it to flip it and resell it. Cool, so we just popped the hood on our 13 Chevrolet Sonic with 178. You just saw that it had 10 codes on it related to the catalytic converter mainly, EVAP, a few other things. We're gonna go over the same thing. I'm gonna look real quick at the coolant here, which looks like it's pretty much empty, so that's a plus. Not really. Oil looks pretty decent. It's not horrible, not too bad. Let's have a little bit of a oil smell to it. Could be a valve cover gasket or something like that. Nothing stands out totally. It seems like it may be running a little rough, which is pretty common considering all the codes. So, but I don't see anything that stands out. Blown head gasket, something like that. It's obviously got a coolant leak somewhere. So I'm gonna do a walk around the car now. They'll always tell you should never buy a car in the rain, and that's just what we're gonna do today. We're gonna buy one in the rain. So walking around, I'm gonna look at the tires. They're okay, they're passable. Nothing major. It's kind of hard to tell. The paint looks a little bit faded to me. Rear tires probably need to be replaced. They're getting close to the wear bars, especially this left rear tire. Kellen, if you want to come in on this real tight, you can see that it's pretty much bald here. We're getting ready to have some cords showing through. Overall, in general, I mean, this is a rougher car, so this is a great segue into you have to decide. You know, as a dealership, we're going to offer them something on trade. We just don't know what that number means. So just from the offset, being this car, the year with the miles, I would estimate this car is probably going to be, if it was in decent shape, good enough to sell it, this car would probably be around a $4,000 car. The problem is it's going to need a set of tires. It's going to need a catalytic converter, probably a thermostat. It's got a lot of stuff going on. This is probably going to be one of those deals that we're going to offer probably $400 or $500 on, because worst case scenario, we're going to sell it to a salvage yard, which we got a standing offer for about $400 or $500 for any cars that we can't do anything with. We will send it to recon if we do end up doing this deal, to see whether or not, you know, if we can get it for $400 or $500. If my mechanic says, hey, listen, I think we can put $1,000 in this thing, you know, $1,500 we'll have total, maybe $2,000. And then if it's something that's safe, passes inspection, good for the road, we could probably get around $39.99 for it, is what I would price that. But we're gonna take it for a quick test drive just to make sure the motor and tranny aren't FU'd up, you know what I'm saying? And we'll see you here in a second. So one of my favorite things to do with a car is to come and do donuts. Not literal donuts, but can you hear that? It sounds like the nutcracker on steroids every time I'm making a hard left-hand turn. Hopefully that's coming through on the mic. If not, what it is it's got a bad CV shaft, right? So CV shaft stands for constant velocity, I think. Close enough. Either way, most people know what CV boots, CV shafts are. So this thing's at a minimum probably going to need, it's doing it to the right as well, it's going to need not one, but 2 CV shafts. They're relatively inexpensive. You can probably get them for 70, 80 bucks a piece. The issue comes in is it's a little bit time consuming. So one of the things you want to do when evaluating a car, whether it's Flip, Facebook Marketplace, buying it from a salvage company, loan company, anything like that that can a lot of times sell to the public, is making sure you have time to properly evaluate the vehicle. Because sometimes auctions, you know, all your money is made buying a car. That's an old car saying, and it's true. I don't care what anyone says. It doesn't matter what you sell it for. If you bought it cheap enough, you can make a profit. So this thing, as we talked about previously, has got a bunch of mechanical issues. So we'll be back in just a second. I'm going to give you my thoughts on this car and what we should really do with it.